students, in today's session we will see how to analyze portal frames. Basically, whenever you observe the structures which have constructed in the past or currently, you will see a basic difference is that earlier we have constructed a very low rising structures or only the structures which are constructed for the ground story. The houses which have constructed at your native place or at villages, which are maybe of thick walls and which carries only the roof, which is made out of a mangrove tiles or something else, such a structures are called as a load bearing structures, where the only walls are carrying its load, right? But now we are dealing with a high rise structure in which we are developing the structures for more than the 10 or 20 floors. In such a structures, you can see that that structure has its skeleton. If we look into our body has a skeleton of bones which reinforce our body, which give a strength to our body. Here in our structures also, specifically RCC residential structures, if you look into, they have a basic frame within it. Though if you remove the all walls, windows, panels and everything, window panels, walls and other claddings which you have imposed upon your structure, what remains inside is a core part of that skeleton, beam, slab and column, that makes a frame in which you have added the partition walls and separated the space, right? Such a frames, if you want to analyze, if you want to find all the member forces and all the loads coming upon it and how my structure is deflecting or it is beyond the tolerance or deflection is within the control limit or what, that we have to check. So analyzing such a structure is what we are trying to understand under this topic. Now let's start. First of all, we will understand the theory and assumptions behind this method, and then we will proceed to solve the problems. The portal method is an approximate analysis used for analyzing building frames subjected to lateral loading such as shown in a figure. So I will show you with the figure. When we go for the high-rise structures, then those structures consist of 2, 3, 4, 5 floors, may obstruct the wind flowing in that area. How? See, this is your structure which is having a multiple stories, and of course naturally wind is flowing by side, and what happens, the structure suddenly comes into it in a path of wind, and that get attacked, or the wind will continuously get strike upon the surfaces of your structure. That's why this low rise, and when you think about 2 or 3 floors or up to 4 floors, the wind effect is very less. But when you think of drawing or constructing the structure more than 20, 30 floors, then the wind pressure plays a vital role in it. Understood? Therefore, such a structures are come up with the lateral loading as shown in figure. Right. Now this method is which method we are understanding here or solving by is applicable or is more appropriate for only low rise structures, only for the low rise structures. An inflection point is located at mid-span. Now we are looking into the assumptions of a theory which we're going to apply for analysis of portal frame, and the first assumption of it is that this method is only the first assumption is that we consider the inflection point. Now what is inflection point? That is a question. So let's take a simply supported beam, and we have shown it with the elastic curve. This is your elastic curve. Elastic curve shows the deflected shape of your beam. In this deflected shape, which we call an elastic curve, this elastic curve is helpful to understand the inflection point. When this elastic curve changes from concave to convex, the point where it changes its direction will be a point of inflection, will be considered a point of inflection. Now such a point, you should not misunderstand it with, or you should not think it as a point of contraflexure. That comes in the bending moment diagram, where bending moment changes its sign from positive to negative. Sometimes, in some cases, the point of contraflexure and point of inflection lies in the same plane, or they may look similar, but point of contraflexure is a point where bending moment changes its sign from positive to negative, whereas point of inflection is a point when elastic curve changes its direction from concave to convex, or from convex to concave. It can be of any order, right? So that is the point of inflection. And when we talk about the frames, where does I take that? So I consider in the frame, I consider at the mid span, I consider the point of inflection for beams, and for columns I consider at the center, that will be POI, point of inflection at the center of column, right? An inflection point is considered at mid height of the column and at the center of B. Clear? The horizontal shear is divided among all the columns on the basis that, see here, the horizontal shear is divided among all the columns on the basis that each interior column takes twice as much as the exterior columns. What it is? This is my column, okay? You can see this is my column, and these are the exterior columns, okay? When I say the horizontal, my force is acting on my structure, this is a force, lateral force acting on my structure. Now I am taking the distribution of this lateral force within my structure. How I am taking it? I am distributing the lateral force into the exterior and interior columns. Interior columns will take twice of the exterior column, If, let's take it nicely, if I'm considering a horizontal force 25, then at this point I will consider my horizontal interior force distribution. So exterior columns will take H at that time, my interior column will take twice of it, which means 2H. Now analyze the frame shown in a figure. Now we will move towards solving the problem, how to apply this to actual problem. Okay, this is a very simple method. You do not worry at the beginning. You just go with me and try to understand it. Solve it once or twice in your notebook and you will get it. Okay, so here you have this frame. And this frame has a fixed supports at its end, right, which carrying a lateral force of a 25 kilonewton at first story, and at ground story it carries a 50 kilonewton load, and the distances of height distances in the bay of your frames and height of your frame is mentioned in a figure. Now they asked us to solve it with the Portal method. You should understand that we are analyzing the frames with two methods. In your syllabus they have added two methods of analysis. One is a Portal frame method, second one is a cantilever method. Right now we are dealing with, or we are analyzing our frames with the Portal method. Later we will go for the second type, which is cantilever method. Assuming point of a contraflexure at a mid height of a column and considering a FBD of upper story. What I am saying, upper story. I am not taking lower story, which I am taking upper story, and then second story. Okay, first of all we will analyze for upper story or the first story, then second story, right? Now we are analyzing it for what? whatever lateral force coming upon my structure, I'm trying to distribute it into internal columns. How I am doing? I know the third assumption stated that the lateral force coming upon my structure will be distributed first of all on the columns. It will be H, the force which distributed on columns, exterior columns, will be H, then the interior columns will be 2H. What does it mean? That interior columns will take twice of the load as exterior columns. Okay, so let's analyze it. I have taken only the upper story. Then I have applied a first and second assumption. First assumption states that the point of inflection in the beam acts at its center. Point of inflection in the columns act at its mid height. So I have taken a section at the mid height of my columns, and I have considered only the upper part of my frame. I hope you have understood. Then this 25 force will be distributed into these forces, right? H, twice of H and H. So 25 will be equals to H plus 2H plus H. Whatever force acting from left hand side will be balanced from right hand side, and that's why I have shown 25 will be equals to H plus 2H plus H. So H is 6.25 kilonewton. H is how much now? 6.25 kilonewton. Okay. You can take your calci, you can solve it in your calci. I am directly telling you the answers. Now for second frame, you can see here I have this second frame here. In this frame I have taken the upper story completely. The upper story will be completely taken, and in the lower story I have considered the point of inflection at the mid height of a column. I have cut there, I have taken a section there, and I have shown a distribution of H. Now what lateral forces are acting on my second story? Two lateral forces. One at first story, which is of 25 kilonewton. Second one you can see here, which is of 25 kilonewton. At second floor it is 50 kilonewton. Now analyze and understand or find the internal resisting forces or internal forces. My 25 plus 50 will be equals to how much? H plus twice of H plus H. So it will be H plus twice of H plus H, giving me the answer that H or horizontal force will be equals to 18.75. Now comes the actual part of analysis. Here what we are analyzing, I have said consider a point of contraflexure at a center of a beam and apply equilibrium. I am reading from here, you should understand. Consider a point of contraflexure at a center of a beam and equilibrium equation for each part of the structure. Now see here, consider a point of contraflexure at the center of beam and apply equilibrium equations. You must understand that what is the equilibrium equation. We have seen it multiple times, still I am reminding you. Summation fx, summation fy and summation of moment at particular point will be equals to 0. My structure is a complete based upon the columns, beams, and there will be a number of unknown forces acting within my frame. To understand each and every member force, what I will do? I will take a part of it. I will take a help of point of inflection. I will take a help of point of inflection, and in the columns and beam I cut that section and I will separately analyze it. Okay, how I am doing it? See here. This is my total frame at first story, having a force of 25 kilonewton acting horizontally at it. Now I have separated it. How I have separated it? This is my first section, middle section and the corner section. See here, this is my total frame. I have considered my inflection points here, and I have considered this corner part here. I have taken this part which is looks like a T-beam at the middle, and I have considered this corner part at this end. Okay, so this is what my central part and the corner parts. Okay, and how I have taken those sections from my original frame. How I taken? I have considered the point of inflection, and I have taken the cut or section at that point, and I have taken the single sections from the whole frame. I have you can say I have simplified my frame. Now I can apply the equilibrium equations in it. Now see here, you should be careful how I am analyzing it. It is very simple. Applying the equilibrium equation is a very simple task, but sometimes students get confused, or sometimes they feel it is very complicated. But you must understand here, it is not at all complicated. It is just a lengthy procedure. Okay, but if you are careful, good at equilibrium equations, applications of equilibrium equation, then you can solve it. Otherwise, you practice it and you will able to understand it. Okay, so see here, yes, I have a frame here, still not visible. Here the horizontal force acting first of all is 25 kilonewton. Then you have a forces like, I have taken a cut points. Now where my point of inflection lies. The circular points like this are the points where point of inflection lies. Okay. Here the forces are acting in upward direction. Now every member, first of all you have to understand like this. Every member of my frame carries certain forces, right? And they will show a deflection if they are beyond their capacity. Now those forces, representation of those forces I am doing on this frame. This is my original frame with the point of contraflexures shown there, right? Now take the second forces. Okay, now I am taking this second forces like this and this. These are the forces. First of all, see, I have this force 6.25, 12.5 and 6.25. This force is the forces which we have already calculated. Where I have calculated that? In the earlier analysis. Here you can see at the point of inflection I have analyzed my horizontal forces. From there I have shown that in this figure. Okay, so these forces are known to us. Which another force known to us? The 25 kilonewton acting on the frame, which is already given in our sum or in our problem. They have stated that horizontal force of a magnitude 25 kilonewton is acting on a first story. Simple. Now this vertical force and this vertical force, these are the forces. Every point of inflection or a point where you have taken a section, there two forces will act. One in vertical direction, one in horizontal direction. Okay, we have to take both of the forces where we have taken a cut section. So here I have taken horizontal forces at this point, and at this point I have cut my frame. I have taken inflection point there. Now that point has to become with the two forces, horizontal one and vertical one. So accordingly I have considered horizontal forces both moving towards left hand side, and vertical forces, how I show the at this place I have shown it acting downward, whereas at this place I have shown it acting upward. Now I insist you that in the same direction you should also assume your initial forces. Okay, whenever I am assuming, I am applying the or showing the internal forces at the cut section, that time the question is in which direction they are, then we will assume it. What we will do, we will assume it, and if we are assuming it, we will assume in this direction only. It will help you. How it will help you? See in the next okay, now let's start the analysis. For analysis I will take it little yeah. Now for this analysis, summation of moment at m equals to 0. See, I'm taking the moment at this point. Okay, at this place I'm taking the moment and I'm doing the summation of moment equals to 0. Now which are the forces which passing through that point? This force V2 is passing from same point, H1 is passing from same point, and 25 is also passing from same point. So these forces which passing from the point where I am analyzing the moment, that will add up 0 moment. Okay, there will be a 0 moment force, 0 moment, right? Why? Because no force, the force which passes through the point where we are calculating the moment will not develop any kind of a moment, because they will remain only the force distance will be 0, because they are just passing through it. Now which forces will develop the moment? So moment will be get developed by horizontal force 6.25 kilonewton and the vertical force 4.16 kilonewton. Okay, so these are the two forces which will create a moment, at my point which I have shown you in the diagram. Now let's take a moment calculation. V1 into horizontal force, because we takes moment is equals to what? Force into perpendicular distance. What is the force? Force is V1. Perpendicular distance is this, which is 22.25 meter. Now in the actual frame, the point of contraflexure has been considered like this at the mid height of column and at center of beam. So total distance was 4 meter, which becomes 2.25 meter for my frame or for my section I have considered here. Whereas the total height was 3 meter, so this distance become 1.5 meter. You have to understand this. Now check the moment. V1 into horizontal distance 2.25. Now V1 is making anti-clockwise moment, which I will consider negative. So minus V1 into 2.25. Next is this horizontal force, which is making clockwise moment. That's why I have taken positive. 6.25 into vertical distance 1.5. Adding me a force V1 will be equals to 4.16 kilonewton. Okay, then we will move towards summation of Fy, all the summation of all the vertical forces. What are the vertical forces? V1, V2, that's it, no other forces. So whatever V1 force is taking, which I am taking negative, downward is negative, upward is positive. So V1 plus V2, which is I have assumed acting upward, will be equals to 0, giving me that V2 is equals to 4.16. So both of the directions which we have assumed, one acting downward and one acting upward, comes correct, right? That is why I was insisted you in the earlier stage that please assume the same direction which I have assumed. Okay, so I hope you will follow it. Now I am taking a summation of Fx. So here the 25 kilonewton force is acting here, okay, and the H1 here, and this force at the column point of inflection. So 25 minus H1 minus, because 25 acting at this point of a frame, whereas H1 acting in this direction, and this H1 acting here, H is acting here. So this will be negative and this will be a positive point. Okay, so add up it, you will get H1 of a magnitude 18.75. Now let's go for the next frame analysis. Here what I am doing, whatever forces you have shown here, this is acting downward, this is acting upward, and this is acting towards the point. Same way in the next frame. Now look into the next frame. Here the force is acting horizontally, going into the centroid or a point here, opposite direction. If it is moving towards left hand side, it will move towards right side. Okay, that is how I am applying forces on the next system, but the magnitude remains same. This force is acting upward, so this force will acting downward, but magnitude will remain same. Okay, so I hope you understood this. Next is this part. Here your horizontal force is known to you twice of the external columns. The force taken by the interior columns will be twice of your exterior columns. That therefore the interior column will take 12.5 kilonewton. Okay. Next is your vertical force at this point. Again I am taking it acting downward. Vertical force at this point I am taking it acting upward. Horizontal force I am considered acting towards the center. Okay, so this is my prior assumptions and directions of my forces. Now I will try to analyze it. See here, I have taken summation of moment at this point will be equals to 0. So how it will act? V3 which I taken downward in direction. First of all, you instead of starting directly calculating moment, I will make you sure that this H1 force will not make any bending moment. It will not contribute to any bending moment equation, because it is passing through the point, as well as H2 and V4. They are passing through the point, distance is 0, therefore moment made by these forces will be 0. Now next is, see here, a force acting horizontally at this point, force acting downward at this point, and vertical force at this point. These are the three forces which will add up to our bending moment equation. So V3, this V3 into horizontal distance, how much it is? 3. Then this H12, this is making anti-clockwise, that's why I am taking negative. Then 12 is making clockwise, 12.5 into vertical distance. Then next is your, this is your V3, then 12.5. We done with these two forces. Last remaining is V2, which is of value 4.16. 4.16 making anti-clockwise moment, therefore taken negative into 5.25. Now horizontal distance of it, this one is 2.5, this one is 3 meters, so 3 plus 2.5, how much it is? 5.25, giving me a V3 value as negative 1.03. Now why it is negative sign? Because the direction which I have considered is downward, but the real direction is upward. So I have shown with the circle that current direction is wrong, and I have shown it upward. Okay, I hope you understood this point. Next is summation of Fy. Now I am adding all the vertical forces in my system. On my section, how many vertical forces are acting? 1, 2, 3. So V 4.16 downward in direction, 1.03 acting, yes, 1.03 is acting where? Okay, V3. That is acting upward, positive, and this one acting upward, V4, that is 3.3. That is not known actually. I have added the answer from here to there. So my V4 will be 3.13. Next is Fx. Now I am adding the all horizontal forces in my system. How am I doing that? Horizontal force at this point, and this point. So one is negative, two are negative, one is positive. 18.75 positive, negative 12.5 and negative H2. So giving me the value of H2 as 6.25 kilonewton. Okay, now I am shifting towards the last section in our system. In this last section, you can see this is my section, right, in which horizontal forces are acting in horizontal direction, which is already known to us. Exterior column will be take half of the interior column, or interior column will take twice of exterior columns, right? Now horizontal forces acting of what magnitude? 6.25. Only unknown in this section is force acting downward at this point. These forces are known to us, because if it is acting this direction, this will act in this direction on next frame, which is of same magnitude, 6.25. This force is acting upward of a magnitude 3.13, so here it will act downward of a magnitude 3.13, right? So this is how we have solved for the first story of our beam. Now we will solve for the second story. Okay. This is my second story, which we solve step by step, how I shown in the earlier problem. In the same way we will solve in the this stage, and then we will go for the bending moment diagram and shear force diagram of my frame. Okay. Let's start with the second story now. We already have analyzed that forces in our second story at a horizontal level at this point is 18.75, which are exterior columns taking, and interior column is taking 37.5. Okay, twice of the exterior columns, which we have analyzed earlier. Now only change in this system is that you come up with this extra column here, right? And the forces acting on this columns will be taken from the above frame, above analysis. See here. So I have to take it down very, I hope you can see it. Yes. Here a vertical force in a downward direction acting of a magnitude 4.16. So how in my next frame it will act? It will act vertically upward of 4.16 magnitude, with the same magnitude opposite in direction. Horizontal force at this point was acting 6.25 kilonewton. So how does it will act here? It will be in opposite direction but of same magnitude. Similarly, the vertical force, this force is acting upward here, so it will act downward at this point of a magnitude 1.03 kilonewton, of 1.03 kilonewton. Same in the next side. Yes. Here the force is acting of upward direction. It will act downward in direction of a magnitude 3.13 kilonewton. Similarly, we have analyzed all the forces and applied it in our columns. Now, step by step, apply the equilibrium equations. Yes. Now the equilibrium equations becomes lengthy because so many forces are acting on the one section. That's why it becomes lengthy, but it is easy. You can take your calci out, you can put the values and you will analyze it. So see here, first force I am assuming. First of all, we will discuss the known forces, then we will see the assumed direction of new forces. This force is known to us, this force is known to us, this force is known to us, and this force is known to us. Whatever external force acting, distribution of that inward is like this. Simple. And these forces are taken from the upper analysis, and now what remains is the new forces which we are taking with the assumptions. Directions for direction is as similar. One is acting, V is acting downward, this V is acting upward, and this horizontal force is acting towards the center, right? So let's apply the equilibrium equations for these forces. Summation of moment equals to 0. Summation of moment equals to 0 for which? See here, summation of moment equals to 0 at this point. Always I am gonna take summation of moment at this point. Okay, you have to get habitual to it now. Summation of moment will be 0. I am taking forces. Now which forces will make a 0 moment? Because this is passing through the point. So these forces will not contribute in a moment equation, right? So what are the forces left with us? V1, this 6.25, this downward force, and this horizontal forces. So total 4 forces are making contribution to the moment equation. So see here how I analyzed it. 6.25 into vertical. Force is horizontal, so direction will be vertical. 6.25 into 1.5, making clockwise movement, therefore taken positive. V1. V1 is acting upward. Right or wrong? Yes, it is acting upward. If it is acting upward, it is also making clockwise movement reaching to this point, and if it is vertical, distance will be horizontal. So distance is 2.25. Okay. Then this vertical force into horizontal distance. Okay. So now this vertical force is V6. Now don't take the values. Those we have calculated and then shown there. Okay. So V6 into horizontal distance is 2.25. Plus, this is making clockwise movement, therefore plus 18.75 kilonewton into 2.25. Into 2.25 is what? Force is horizontal. Force is horizontal. So distance will be vertical. Okay. So this is how we have made a moment equation. Now solve this moment equation. You will get V6. V6 will be 27.07 kilonewton. Now summation Fy. Vertical force analysis we are taking now. Vertical force will be, how many vertical forces are acting? 4.16 upward plus V7 minus V6, which is already calculated. V6 is 27.07. So how many forces? 1, 2, 3. 3 forces giving me V7 value equals to how much? Equals to 0. Giving me V7 value 22.91. Now summation of horizontal forces. How many horizontal forces? 6.25 minus 18.75 minus H3 equals to 0, giving me a H3 value equals to 37.5 kilonewton. Similarly, we will apply an equation of equilibrium for second case. Here I have taken the known forces are 1, 2, vertical, which is horizontal. Then H3 is known, opposite to direction but same in a magnitude. Downward force is known, opposite in direction but same in a magnitude. So this is how known forces are given. Now unknown forces similarly, downward, upward, horizontally, in. These three new forces we need to solve with equilibrium equations. So let's take a moment equation first of all. Summation of moment at this point will be 0. What forces will not contribute to it? These three forces will not contribute to moment equation. Rest of how many forces? 2 here, 1 here, 3, 4, 5. So 5 forces into perpendicular distance. Okay, let's solve it. 22 into horizontal distance 2.25 plus 3, this much. This is making anti-clockwise, that's why I taken negative. Then I have taken 1.03. So 1.03 into horizontal distance, it is also making anti-clockwise, negative sign. And 1.03 into horizontal distance is 3. Vertical force, horizontal distance. Then I have taken next is 12.5. 12.5 is here. Force is horizontal, now distance will be vertical, 1.5. Okay, it is making clockwise, therefore taken positive. Next is V7, making anti-clockwise, negative into forces vertical, so distance will be horizontal, 3 meter. Okay, then 37, that is horizontal force, 37.5, that is acting like this. So what force it will be? With perpendicular distance 2.25. Similarly, the moment equation is rho. So why I am saying similarly? Because the way how exactly I did in the earlier sections, even in the earlier calculations, the same way I am analyzing here. So I hope at this point at least you are familiar with it. Let's solve it and you will get V7 equals to 6.75 kilonewton. Now I am taking a summation of horizontal forces. H3 12.5 positive, H4 37 negative. Add it, you will get H4 12.5. Next is your summation of vertical forces. Summation of vertical forces 1, 2 negative 1.03 and 22.97 downward, therefore negative both are, and vertical will be V7 and V8, and that will give you a V8 as 17. Okay, what is the value for it? Yes, 17.18. Now let's get to the last section. In the last section, this is your real frame. Then you the force acting here upward will be downward at this point, force acting horizontally in will be horizontally out on this point, and magnitude will remain exactly same. Let's exercise only force at this point because horizontal force is also known. Okay, so only unknown is one force, and that we can find with the summation Fy. How many are the vertical forces acting in a system? 1, 2. So minus 17.18 minus 3.3 giving me a V8 equals to 20.3. So this is how we have analyzed all the forces. Yes, I will take it this side. Analyzed all the forces in my system. Now I am trying to draw a bending moment and shear force diagram. You can see here, this is my original frame. Okay, for columns I have shown this type of a diagram. For beam I have shown this type of a diagram. This is my original frame. Now understand how I have made this bending moment diagram. This bending moment diagram and shear force diagram consists of three values. 9.4 is a value of bending moment. AF is showing us a axial force, whereas shear force is represented by 4.16. Okay, now It is represented by 4.16 here. Okay. See here, 4.16, 4.16, 3.13, 3.13. That is the force I am considering as a shear force on my system. Okay, because see, what is the how does the shear force behaves? Shear force makes equal and opposite force. They will act in an equal and opposite direction at a section. So at this section, one force is acting downward, one force is going upward, making it a shear action. So these are the shear forces on your system. And this force 4.16 into horizontal distance 2.25 means what? Force into perpendicular distance, giving us a value of a bending moment at this point. And axial force in this will be 18.75. Understood? So bending moment will be this force into perpendicular distance. Axial force will be a H force in a member, and shear force will be a force making a equal and opposite action on my members. So those forces I have represented in my shear force and bending moment diagram. Okay, shear force, axial force and bending moment. Shear force into perpendicular distance will give me a bending moment. Axial force will be represented by H in that members, and shear force which making equal and opposite reaction. Similarly, I have shown in the next section. Now I have another forces in the lower stories have not mentioned. Those I am keeping you people, you find out from the given calculation which is the shear force, which is the axial force, which one is creating a bending moment, and please try to please add those all values in this bending moment diagram. If you don't understand, in the next class we will discuss it again. Thank you so much.